I purchased my Canon EOS RP in January of 2020. The question is, would I purchase it again in January 2021? Stay tuned and find out. First, we'll look at a couple things that make my job as a commercial and real estate photographer a little easier with the EOS RP. One of the great things about the Canon EOS RP is it's a very affordable full frame mirrorless camera. If you need to move up to full frame and you're a Canon user, this is probably your answer. I bought this in January of 2020 for $999 with the 24-105 f4 to 7.1 kit lens. Now, I don't believe they still have that offer, but they do offer the Canon EOS RP with the RF to EF converter. That's the lens converter. That's one big reason I bought this camera. And if you're a Canon user and you have EFS lenses laying around, or you've stocked up, bought quite a few of those, maybe you've got a favorite prime or favorite zoom you use, you can use it with this full frame camera. That's a huge advantage if you're a Canon user like me. Now, as I said, I use this camera for real estate and commercial work. And again, whether you're shooting weddings or commercial, real estate, whatever it is, you can see some of the shots here I've taken over the last year with this camera, or personal use, great landscape camera as well. So again, if you're looking for something that you want to step up into full frame, but you don't want to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, this $999 full frame camera will get the job done for you. As I said, a huge advantage if you're already a Canon user and you have EF lenses. With the adapter, you can just pop those right on there. I've got my 10-18 Canon EFS lens a lot. That's my wide angle. I use that for real estate. I use it when I'm out for landscapes. So I was able to just pop that right on here. I used to use a T3i. Same lens. Now I'm able to just pop it right over here on my full frame Canon. So a huge advantage. And let's face it, guys, better equipment does make you a better photographer. It doesn't give you better skills. It doesn't do anything to your mind, but it will produce better quality images. If you have a $200 camera and you take a photo, you take the same photo with a $1,000 camera, you're going to be able to do a lot more with that photo. You're going to have richer colors. You're just going to have better quality. So there's no question about that. Does not mean it's going to frame it up for you and take the picture for you. You still have to use your head, use your skills to find that shot and frame it. But you need a good quality camera to produce good quality prints. If you're only shooting for Instagram or Facebook, something like that, then maybe a full frame isn't quite what you need. You don't really, you're condensing down to a very small space there. But if you're blowing up your prints, if you're shooting for commercial work, people want to see a full frame camera. And I've lost a few jobs without having a full frame camera. That was one of the incentives for me to pick up this Canon EOS RP. So now those jobs I would still have because I have the quality camera and the quality equipment needed for the job. Now, just a quick note, if you're not a Canon user, and this will be your first Canon purchase, first time you're moving up into full frame, then you might want to go ahead and look at the 24-105 RF lens that comes with this camera as a kit lens. Might be $12.99. If you already have EFS lenses, you don't have to buy a new RF lens for this camera. That's a huge advantage. Okay, some of the other things that make this camera very nice to use, very convenient, make your job a little easier. Of course, with most Canon cameras, you've got the very tilt screen here. I love this. I call it the flip screen. It's great when you're doing vlogging or anything like that. It's just, I would not put this much money into a camera without owning a camera that had a flip screen on it. This thing has come in handy too many times, countless times. I would not buy a camera without the flip screen. Speaking of the screen, the next biggest function, one of the better features I like, is the fact that it's a touch screen camera as well. You can touch the back and use the menu. The menu is incredibly easy. I did a video a few months ago on how to set up your camera, how to use the menu functions, how to create your quick menu for easy access. You might want to go back and check that out. I won't get into detail here, but again, the touch shutter and the touch menu on this works fabulous. I use it all the time. Another factor that we want to mention here, I'm a photographer, not a videographer, although I do have a YouTube channel, and so I do a lot of video, but it's not something that I place a lot of importance on or put a lot of effort into. This camera does a fine job with video. With the upgrade that came out in 2020, you do have 24 frames per second capabilities on here, as well as 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second. It does have 4K capabilities. I don't have 4K equipment. I don't expect to use 4K. 30 frames per second is how I do my videos. It will go 24 frames per second and you'll be fine. As a matter of fact, not only have I used it on my YouTube channel, I did sneak in a video for a political candidate this past fall, and everybody, it appeared on television, all over media, and everybody liked it. The candidate didn't win, but everybody was happy with the commercial. So here's a little bit of that, some of the clip of that. So it's very capable. If you're only shooting video, or if video is a huge part of your output, then maybe this isn't the right camera. I don't know. I can't speak to that. Like I said, I'm talking to photographers because I'm a photographer and I use this 90% for photography. Now, another thing I really like about this camera is not the camera itself. As you can see here through this entire video, I've had the battery pack on here. And if you take the battery grip off, again, it's a much smaller camera. Some people like that. They complain about maybe where they put their pinky. I could still shoot like this. It wouldn't bother me. But the battery pack, the DTSE battery pack, I purchased it with the camera. You put 2 batteries in here. That way you're always charged. You always have enough juice, unless you're out all day long. But then again, you can just simply recharge. But this really adds a lot to this camera. You just pop it on here, it screws in very quickly, very easily, and it adds a lot more bulk to the camera, and it's the way I like it. It's the way I carried my T3i. I wouldn't expect to have a camera without the battery pack, the battery grip as well, because again, it does add a lot to this camera, and I really do like it that way. So in a nutshell, that's my quick overview of the EOS RP from Canon. I love this camera. Would I buy this camera again in 2021? Yes, I would. Why? Because nothing has changed from 2020 to 2021 that would make me feel any differently. This thing does what I need it to do with my real estate, with my commercial shoots, any wedding shots, anything like that. This camera does come through and does the job. It's a high-end camera at a very low-end budget, and low-end by meaning I don't think you can find another full-frame camera for this price. I know Sony has the A7 II, but I'm not a Sony guy, and that feels really small to me. The camera felt really small when I went and picked it up in the store. I just like the Canon feel. I like the Canon output. I'm used to Canon, so I would choose this camera. Now you can go with a Canon R, or they've got some new models possibly coming out. I don't think you're ever going to find a Canon cheaper, a full frame cheaper than this, because the T8Is are somewhere around $700–800. They're not going to make this less expensive than the T8i, and even if they come out with a, let's say, an upgraded, better version of the RP coming up in 2021, 2022, it's going to be more expensive. But I don't see this really dropping a lot in price. So if you're holding off to see if that's going to be the case, you might find a sale somewhere, but I don't think you're going to find it much cheaper. So if you're looking to pull the trigger, I'd say now would be a good time to go ahead and do that. You can purchase this camera and anything else I've talked about, the lens, the coupler, the battery grip, all that, it links in the description below, and that does help this channel. I hope you've learned something, guys. I hope this has helped you out. That's my review of the Canon EOS RP.